Today, we are diving into something truly incredible. It's a powerful, step-by-step blueprint for creating massive wealth in Black America. This isn't just theory. It's a very specific plan laid out with a ton of passion, and it's aimed at generating trillions, yes, trillions in new wealth over the next 10 years. Okay, let's get right into it.
And this is the number at the very heart of the whole plan. $3.5 trillion. Now that sounds audacious, right? But according to this blueprint, it's totally achievable within a decade. It's a figure that's meant to completely change the economic landscape, and we're about to see exactly how it all breaks down.
So here's how we're going to walk through this. First, we'll look at the big picture, the blueprint itself. Then we'll dive into the three main pillars: the power of credit, building wealth with homeownership, and a really unique strategy for buying businesses that already exist. And then at the end, we'll pull it all together and see how we hit that magic number.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the $3.5 trillion blueprint. Look, this is not a number just pulled out of thin air. It is a detailed strategy with a very clear, very ambitious 10-year goal. Now, here's what's so fascinating about this whole framework. The entire plan is designed to work completely within the private sector we already have. It's all about using the systems that are already in place, focusing on what individuals and communities can do without needing a single dime from the government.
So, how does a plan this big actually get started? Well, it all begins with the first actionable step, the absolute non-negotiable foundation for everything else, and that's harnessing the power of credit.
And it all boils down to one single metric. The main requirement, the key that literally unlocks everything else in this plan, is getting a credit score of 700 or higher. That one number is positioned as the real gateway to financial power.
And to really drive home just how automatic this can be, the source speaker makes this incredibly bold claim. The point he's making is that at this level, the system doesn't really care who you are. A computer looking at an application from someone with a job and a 700 score, it doesn't see race, it doesn't see background, it just says yes.
So, here's where it gets really powerful. What does this mean at scale? Well, if the community as a whole hits this credit score goal, it's not just about individuals getting loans. It unlocks the first massive chunk of this wealth puzzle, $750 billion in new lines of credit. And that's our first big step toward that $3.5 trillion.
Okay, so you've got that foundation of good credit. Now what? Well, that brings us to the first major pillar of creating real wealth, using that new access to capital to build equity through homeownership. And this chart really lays out the mission perfectly. Right now, the Black homeownership rate is about 44%, while for white Americans, it's 75%. This blueprint sets a really specific 10-year goal: raise that Black homeownership rate to 62%. That would massively close the gap and build a huge base of wealth that can be passed down.
And the financial impact of actually hitting that target, it's just staggering. Reaching that 62% home ownership goal would create an estimated $800 billion in new wealth. Just like that, we've added the second massive piece to our total. Now for the second pillar, and this is a really cool, strategic way to think about entrepreneurship. It's not about the crazy high risk of starting from scratch. It's all about the opportunity in buying businesses that are already successful.
So, this whole strategy taps into a huge economic shift that's happening right now, called the Great Wealth Transfer. As baby boomers retire, they're passing down trillions in assets. But here's the key. About $15 trillion of that is made up of profitable, cash-flowing businesses that the next generation often just doesn't want to run.
So you might be thinking, how on earth could I afford to buy one of those businesses? Well, here is the innovative three-step model. First, a bank gives you a loan based on the business's proven income, not your personal bank account. Second, you get the current owner to finance a big chunk of it themselves. And finally, that last little 10%, that's raised through a community investment group. You see, this is a huge shift in thinking. The old way might be a GoFundMe to try and start a pizza shop from zero. It's super risky. The new way is using institutional money to buy $1 million company that's already making money on day one. It's a total game changer.
The potential here is just enormous. By capturing less than 10% of that $15 trillion pool of available businesses, this strategy alone could generate over $1 trillion of wealth. $1 trillion.
All right, it's time for our final section. Let's put all these pieces together. We're going to look at the final tally and see exactly how these pillars combine to hit that unbelievably ambitious target. And here it is, the whole blueprint in one place. We've got the $750 billion from lines of credit, we've got the $800 billion from homeownership, and the $1 trillion from buying businesses. Now, that last piece, which the source projects at another trillion, is from leveraging AI to create new ventures. Now, the details on that weren't as deeply defined, but it's clearly identified as the next huge frontier. And when you add it all up, boom, $3.5 trillion.
And we end by coming full circle, right back to the most critical message of this whole plan. Every single step, from getting your credit score up to buying a business, is designed to work by using the economic systems that are already out there. It's a blueprint for empowerment that's built on action, not on asking for help.
And that really leaves us with the final thought-provoking question. This isn't just a collection of cool ideas. It's a detailed plan of action. The source material lays out exactly how to do it. So, the only question left is, who is going to pick up these tools and turn the blueprint into reality?